Hey everyone, welcome to Voice Flow with June. I have a bunch of different videos that I need to start uploading. I've had a couple of different requests for different subjects. And if you think of anything or if you would like me to explain something more, pop it in the comments below. Make sure that you're also liking and subscribing to the channel, please. I see that there's quite a few people that are watching that are not just subscribed, and I'm trying to get more of awareness out there. Like we all want, any of us that are struggling with our mental health, we want that awareness to be out there so we can be a little bit more accepted, right? So today I wanted to talk about triggers. I've had quite a few people message me asking exactly what triggers are. And if you have complex PTSD or any other long-term type of abuse, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I start explaining this. Triggers can come from a sound, a song, a smell, a word, a place. It literally come from anywhere. And after you have gone through years and years and years of some kind of a traumatic event or traumatic abuse or a long-term marriage that was abusive, you can gain all of these triggers from different experiences that you've had. So I've had quite a few different triggers. In my therapy, after I've been in therapy for now, I want to say 4 years. And before this, I would have triggers constantly. And a big thing that I would focus on to the point that doctors actually believed that I had OCD because of how clean I needed everything and how everything needed to be put in its place. And if there was something that was not done the exact way that I had it pictured in my mind, my temper was out of control once I had a trigger happen. So traumatic stress changes your brain, and it changes quite a few different parts of your brain. And if you're thinking about this from a childhood perspective, say your abuse started very early like mine did, the way that it actually changes your brain, and they've had studies that have proved that those with complex PTSD show more brain changes than those with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. So the part responsible for learning and memory is affected. The part involved in planning, decision-making, personality expression, controlling social behaviors, that is also affected. Triggers can be involved so much with our nervous system. It affects the way that we breathe. It affects the way that we hold our bodies. It affects how we're constantly on edge looking for the next spot of danger so that we can prepare ourselves. A lot of the times when we've had trauma, the trauma came from a place where we were in danger, but we could not escape, and there was no one to save us. So I know that with myself, if I get a trigger, okay, we'll say a smell, cigars are one that I still bothers me. I get the smell of a cigar and I will have a flashback. Now, regular flashbacks that we think of with PTSD is not the same as an emotional flashback, which is what happens with complex PTSD. In those moments, it's not like my body is not completely right back in that moment. Again, you've seen how PTSD is, the flashbacks are shown on movies and stuff. Like that person is, their entire body, they can't tell that they are not right back into the moment of their trauma. With complex PTSD, we suffer more from emotional flashbacks, which means our body, our brain, everything reacts as if we are right back into that moment, but we're not seeing it. We don't see that exact moment. I can't remember quite a bit of my traumatic events that happened. Because another thing that comes while you're having a flashback, at least for myself, I have a dissociative identity disorder on the spectrum. So it's not actually DID. I just have a dissociative disorder that's pretty high on the spectrum, is the way that my therapist explained it to me. So When I get flashbacks and I feel overwhelmed, and then I'll start to feel like I'm trapped, even if I'm not, even if there is nothing happening at that very moment, I've been triggered by a smell from a cigar, and my entire body is just in that fight flight moment automatically. The same emotions of fear, of being upset, of being in pain, all of those things come flooding back, even if it's not happening right now. So when I get into a dissociative spot after the trigger has caused the flashback, the emotional flashback in my case, and in a lot of cases of those that had traumatic events happen early, then goes into the dissociation. Now, dissociation, when I do it, I kind of feel like I'm in a backseat. When I was younger, I can remember quite a few of them because of the actual flashbacks that I have and where I can see things that are happening. A pretty bad one that I use to explain how the flashbacks can get so horrible is I had it was the first one that I can actually know happened and when and how old I was and that sort of thing, because it has not only come back to me in my memories over the years. It used to be a really bad nightmare. I thought it was a nightmare. I thought that I was sleeping in the moments that those would come to me. But over the years, the more that I've worked on my trauma, the more that I'm realizing that it's an actual flashback. And it was verified by people that were around at that time. So one that I have is when I was 3 years old, and I like to tell myself it was the first time that it happened. I know. Only in a complex PTSD world would we pray that sexual assaults started when we were 3 and not earlier, right? So I get a emotional and physical flashback to this one. I can see myself from I'm above. I'm looking down. Okay? So I can see myself as this child with her head turned away, crying into the wall. I can't hear anything. And I can't see who is on top of me. All I can see is the back of what I assume is a man's head. I can feel everything that's happening to that child at that moment. I know exactly what that man is doing. I feel all the fear and all the confusion and just wanting someone to come and make it stop. So when this flashback comes to me, it's right afterwards, I'm dissociated. In my dissociations, I use that example to explain this. When I was a child, my dissociation would make me kind of outside of my body. I could see what was going on, but I had basically no control over what I was doing. Now, as an adult, when I dissociate, it's kind of like I'm in the back seat. I'm not the main driver of my body. I'm not the main driver of what I'm saying at that moment. I'm not the main driver of what I do in that moment. I'm sitting in the back seat watching it all happen in horror. Because when I first go into a dissociation moment, at least this is how it used to be. This has not happened in well over a year to any extent. My emotions shut off. My ability to feel pain in any way shuts off. I am a cold robot, and there have been times before that my adult children would sit with me and cry, asking why I would say the things that I would say. And I did not feel that motherly instinct of, these are my babies, I need to protect them from me. I would still have that protective, okay, these are children, these are not anyone that you harm, they're not here to harm you. But it would not stop me from saying whatever would come into my mind. And a lot of times when I was dissociated, it would be, just leave me alone. I don't want anyone around me. I don't want anyone to talk to me. I don't want anyone to touch me. Just leave me alone. And it didn't matter who you were. So with these flashbacks, starting with the triggers. I know, I got my notes here. I don't want to miss anything. So with these triggers that send you into flashbacks, which then send you into dissociation, it causes, at least in my own case, me to isolate. Humans just don't seem safe, right? You go out and there's how many different people around you, each with their own personalities, each with their own way of dealing with whatever is going on. And I have a very hard time trusting other people. And with the amount of triggers that I had before I had started therapy, anything would trigger me. It got so bad that I wouldn't leave my house. So through the therapy, as I was saying, the best way that I have found to work yourself through these triggers and to hopefully avoid getting to the point of being triggered to even get to a flashback. But if you get to a flashback, hopefully to the point that if you also suffer from dissociating when you get to that crazy high of a point, you can work yourself out of that. So what I have found that works for me is deep breathing. I know it sounds cliche. I know you hear it everywhere, but I'm telling you, the effects that these triggers and stress have on our nervous system when we have been so molded and made to be the type of human that is constantly on the lookout. It is so important to breathe. I didn't realize just how shallow my breathing was. I didn't realize how much I shrunk my shoulders down and put my head down and trying to make myself as small as possible, all while being bombarded with these triggers. So breathing helps. In slowly for 4 to the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, and slowly release at the count of 4. It will help bring you back into reality of your body right now and reminding yourself that right now you are safe. That trigger is from the past. Which brings me to my next point. If you can identify what your triggers are and work your way back to find out where that trigger started from, what caused that trigger? You don't like one song. Where did that come from? Why do you not? Why does that send you into a trigger? And the more that you can understand where these triggers came from, know that you are safe now, and know that that is your past talking to you saying, okay, this is something that you still need to work through. You need to prove to yourself that this is not something that I need to be afraid of anymore. And I have gotten myself to the point that no doctor thinks that I have OCD anymore. I only really struggle with those types of tendencies if I'm extremely stressed, if I don't get enough sleep. I know basic self-care needs, guys. I say it all the time, how important self-care is, but I am also high on the list of being the person that will push it off. But once I realized how much doing self-care, how much paying attention to my body, and how much paying attention to what these triggers are caused from, it really helps with all the other aspects. So the more that you work on these triggers, the more you identify them, the more that you can keep yourself and your body under control when the triggers hit, the less flashbacks you're going to get and the less you dissociate. I have not had a big dissociation in, I want to say it's around a year. I'll have moments where I kind of switch off for just a little while, but then I'll come right back. Whereas my dissociations before used to last for, they could last for days. And it was debilitating. I was unable to do anything when I was dissociated at my worst. I would basically have to curl up in the fetal position in a dark, quiet place and just focus on not ending it all. And then once I at least started coming out of those dissociations and your emotions start coming back in, you start feeling your body again, you start being a part of reality again, that shame would just crush me. That would come in afterwards saying, wow, look at what you did while you were in that state. And before I even knew what dissociation was, I really thought I was extremely sick. Like, belonged in a mental health facility sick. But the amount of research and the amount of time that I've spent with my therapist and all the work that I've done made me realize just how important paying attention to yourself is. It's so much easier to put these things in a closet and say, yeah, we're not going to worry about that. I'm stronger than that. And I did that for a long time. I thought that I was stronger than these things. And the things that were triggering me were other people's problems. Like, I would blame anyone but myself. But then afterwards, the shame that comes with the complex PTSD will come in there and it will beat you over the head too. So learning how we can control these symptoms is so important. And I was really worried about losing my ability, as crazy as it sounds to think about now, actually. Thinking about the fact that I had told my therapist within the first couple of months that we had worked together that I didn't want her to do anything with my ability to dissociate, because I didn't think I was going to be able to live my life without being able to switch that and not feel. But after all of this, I've realized that not feeling means I was missing out on all the amazing things that I should have been doing as well. And as much as the pain hurts trying to get through this, once you start pushing through and getting to the other side, it really, really does make a huge difference in not only the amount of things that trigger you, but the amount of, I believe you guys have heard me use this phrase before, the sparkles that you're going to find. So not only does the amount of things that trigger you on a constant basis seem to start dropping off. It's like a weight that just kind of drops off. Not only does that start happening, all the wonderful and amazing and beautiful things that we have also not been able to enjoy start getting brighter. You start finding them more. And it's absolutely worth it. My children no longer have to worry about something just making mom click, and it's no longer mom anymore. It was the robot wearing mom's face. And I didn't deserve that. My children didn't deserve that. And the things that I can go on and do with my life absolutely should be experienced. So that's about all I want to say about triggers. They can really, really take over your entire life if you don't know how to control them, if you don't know what they are. That was a huge part in just starting your healing, is understanding the terms, understanding what's going on with your body, understanding that it's not your fault, understanding that these triggers are not something that you're willingly doing. You're not saying, well, I'm going to be high maintenance, I'm going to be a pain in the ass, and say, this triggers me. It really bugs me when I see that being used in such a joking way in society now. Because if those people ever actually went through a traumatic trigger, never mind, I'm not going to say it. Okay, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. I love hearing from you guys. Also, like and subscribe. Okay, much love.